In retaliation of the Republicans going after Joe Biden for his mental and cognitive cover up, Senator Dick Durbin thinks it's a checkmate when he plays this video questioning Trump's cognitive abilities.
For his opening remarks, and after that, Senator Cornyn is going to take the chair, and Senator Cornyn and Chairman Schmidt are going to lead the rest of the hearing. Proceed, Senator Durbin.
Thank you, Chairman Grassley. This committee has oversight responsibility over the Department of Justice, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, and the Department of Homeland Security. We have a constitutional duty to hold these agencies accountable with public hearings. By this date in my first year as chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee, we had already held 2 major oversight hearings with Biden administration agency heads, including one with the FBI Director Wray on domestic terrorism threats. So far this year, the Republican majority on this committee has not held a single oversight hearing, despite numerous critical challenges facing the nation that are under our jurisdiction. In the last week alone, several events have demanded this committee's immediate attention. The horrific assassination in Minnesota, the treatment of our colleague Senator Padilla by federal agents in Los Angeles, and President Trump's unprecedented deployment of the U.S. military in Los Angeles. We should hear without delay from Attorney General Bondi and FBI Director Patel about what they are doing to address the unacceptable political violence in our country, including threats to Article III judges and justices, as well as members of Congress. And we need to hear from the Homeland Security Secretary Noem about the treatment of our colleague, Senator Padilla, and this administration's mass deportation campaign against immigrants. But instead of exercising this constitutional oversight duty, my Republican colleagues are holding this hearing. Apparently, armchair diagnosing former President Biden is more important than the issues of grave concern which I have mentioned. To take a few examples of the issues this committee should be addressing, the Trump administration has removed dozens of senior career prosecutors and FBI officials with decades of national security expertise, leaving our nation more vulnerable to terrorism and other national security threats. This should be explained to this committee. The Justice Department has diverted hundreds of law enforcement agents away from combating cartels, drug trafficking, and gun violence to participate in President Trump's mass deportation campaign. This should be addressed in an open hearing of this committee. The Justice Department is also turning a blind eye to corruption. The administration has gutted the Department of Justice's Public Integrity Session, which oversees political corruption, just as the president's shameful crypto scheme unfolds. And the administration has removed Department of Justice career ethics officials and shut down the office charged with investigating misconduct by DOJ attorneys. With these internal checks gone and this committee asleep at the wheel, it's no surprise that Attorney General Bondi signed off on President Trump to accept Qatar's gift of a $400 million luxury airliner, despite the fact that the Attorney General was previously a registered foreign agent for the Qatari government. We are still waiting for her official finding on this gift transfer. And it's no surprise that Department of Justice official Emil Bove tried to strike a corrupt bargain with New York Mayor Eric Adams, dropping public corruption charges in exchange for the mayor's cooperation with Trump agenda mass deportations. When it comes to these historic, compelling issues, the GOP majority tells America to move along. Nothing to see here. Let's revisit this administration of a previous president in this hearing. Let's revisit a 20-year-old precedent on the use of an auto pen. And I know my Republican colleagues are eager to discuss President Biden's pardons. But why are they ignoring the actual pardon crisis that's taking place right now? President Trump's pay-to-play scheme. Last month, President Trump pardoned Paul Walzak, who pleaded guilty in 2024 to withholding over $7 million of taxes from his employees' paychecks and failing to pay them to the Internal Revenue Service. What warranted Mr. Walczak's swift pardon by President Trump? His pardon application explicitly cited millions of dollars his mother raised for President Trump's campaigns and other efforts to support the president. But that was not enough. It was 3 weeks after Mr. Walczak's mother attended a $1 million a person Trump fundraiser in April of this year that Mr. Walczak was miraculously receiving his pardon. And now he no longer must pay $4.4 million to the taxpayers of this country. That's one example of the many pardons granted to President Trump's wealthy donors and political supporters. Of course, these pay-to-play pardons are in addition to more than 1,500 January 6 rioters who received blanket pardon from President Trump, including 169 who violently assaulted law enforcement officials. And we're going to make a question of cognitive ability. I think we should consider what happened in Alberta, Canada, just this week, where President Trump was at a press conference with British Prime Minister Keir Starmer and said the following: "You all know the great PM of the UK, and we just signed a document." President Trump continued, "We just signed it so we have our trade agreement. Britain has not been a party to the EU for 5 years." But President Trump made a statement which clearly was wrong. Now I'd like you to see a short video that includes some other examples of cognitive ability.
Don't you need to uphold the Constitution of the United States as president?
I don't know that windmills are driving the whales crazy, obviously. I have concepts of a plan. They're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the... I know about magnets is this. Give me a glass of water. Let me drop it on the magnets. That's the end of the magnet. The kidney has a very special place in the heart. Right, and then I see the disinfectant where it knocks it out in a minute, 1 minute. And is there a way we can do something like that by injection inside or almost a cleaning? This is a tough hurricane, one of the wettest we've ever seen from the standpoint of water. When you ran out the healthy arms, you ran out of really healthy. They had great arms, but they ran out. It's called sports. It's called baseball in particular. Can't understand a word he's saying. Did you just see Maduro, Venezuela? It's unbelievable. Well, I don't know about it. I mean, obviously, I'm not involved.
He wants to know why the proclamation was signed in the dark.
I don't know when it was signed because I didn't sign it. Other people handled it.
Do any of these statements raise a question of cognitive ability? You be the judge. If my colleagues are truly interested in issues of presidential succession and disability under the 25th Amendment, I would suggest they embark on this constitutional journey with a proposed amendment, not today's political adventure. I yield.
I'll tell you what, if you want to call Donald Trump arrogant, okay, I'll give it to you. If you want to call him bombastic, he's very brash, I will give you all of that. But if you're trying to sit there and tell me that Donald Trump is not mentally and cognitively there with it, then you are nothing but a liar and trying to deceive the American people. I don't care what clips that you choose to edit and splice in such a way that Donald Trump looks bad. This man's life has been practically in front of a camera for the past 50, 60 years. I don't care if you're Albert Einstein or Stephen frickin' Hawking. You're gonna have some mess ups along the way. But what we see from Trump in these clips versus what we saw in Joe Biden every single time he was in front of a camera, there was a stark difference. Joe Biden, he was not aware. He didn't know how to walk off of a stage. Whereas Donald Trump just has a few slips of the tongue. That's completely natural. It shows he's a human being. And just think about this for a moment. There has been a camera in Donald Trump's face for hours every single day of his entire adult life for the past 50 years. You're bound to have some mess ups. But what we saw in Joe Biden was actually scary. I was terrified for the state of our country because I was thinking, This is the man who's negotiating with Russia, with China, with North Korea, and he's not even capable of reading off of a teleprompter. Whereas Donald Trump, whenever he gives a speech, he's always going off the cuff. He's just saying stuff that comes in his mind. He's able to just stand there and talk. He doesn't need anybody else whispering in his ear what he should say. He just talks about common sense policies. I mean, just look at the man's private net worth. He's worth billions upon billions of dollars. Do you think somebody that was struggling cognitively would be worth that much money? And he did all of this in the private sector, whereas Joe Biden made his fortune by his handlers making deals with foreign countries, and his family reaps the benefits of that. This right here has been the playbook of the Democrats ever since 2016. They said, do you want somebody with the vindictiveness and the mental ability of Donald Trump handling the nuclear codes? What happened when Donald Trump was in office the first 4 years? Did the nukes go flying? No, it was just the media acting all hyperbolic and saying that the world's going to come to an end because Donald Trump, somebody they dislike, is our commander-in-chief. These people are crooks and frauds and will do whatever it takes to make Donald Trump look bad. And these are the same exact people who said there was nothing wrong with Joe Biden. Keep that in mind. They want to say that Donald Trump is not with it. You guys claimed that Joe Biden was perfectly fine. We will never forget what you put that man through. If you actually cared for that man, you would have had him resign and enter a nursing home where he'd get the proper care that is needed. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on this down below. Do you believe this bogus that Donald Trump is not mentally with it? Or do you think it's just propaganda and fake news? Let me know. I'd love to know your thoughts. And if you enjoyed, make sure to smash that like, comment, subscribe, and wish you guys nothing but the best. Till next time.